This is what I want you to do, though, I want you to just take a mighty breath here. And I want you to come into a level of coherence around the fundamental idea that you're worthy, the fundamental idea that you're magnificent, the fundamental idea that all of the power and all of the presence and all of the love that there is, the limitless love intelligence that there is coursing through your spiritual veins at this particular moment. I want you to bracket your attention for a moment. That is, put everything aside that you may have to do, any task that you have to do later on in the day. I want you to bracket all of that and allow for your full attention to be right where you are, your full attention to be having the awareness that you are a composite spiritual idea that contains limitless love, intelligence, beauty, abundance, and all that God is. I want that to capture your awareness so that you can begin to set yourself free from any debilitating or limiting thought forms that may have captured you since the last time we were together. For those of you who are here for the very first time, this is Agape International Spiritual Center, a trans-denominational spiritual center, which means trans means to cut across or to go beyond. We cut across and go beyond denomination into the sacred truth of ultimate reality, that the power and the presence and the love of God is everywhere, omnipresent, and that we are here to allow the presence of God to fulfill itself as our very life and being. That is a statement of truth and a statement of unity, that the power and the presence and the love of God wants to fulfill itself as each and every one of us. God is already love and beauty and intelligence and abundance and all the good that we can even think about. But you were created in His own image and likeness, that the presence of God may fulfill itself as your life. God's already fulfilled, but God needs you to fulfill itself as your very life. So this is a participatory, progressive universe, not a bystander universe. And so this month we've been walking with the theme of your rise and shine agreement. And we've come to an understanding that before you took a human incarnation, you had an agreement that you would rise and that you would shine through the tribulations and trials and the changes in the world of phenomena that would be happening on the planet during the time that your body would be here. Now, what does that mean? We've come to an understanding that to rise means that we will lift our vibration and our frequency. You are reminded that you are a vibrational being. You're not just flesh and blood. You are a vibrational being. You're not simply carrying the DNA and hereditary patterns of your ancestors. You are a vibrational being, meaning that you are an idea, a vibrational idea in the mind of God that is unique and magnificent. The same, just as a seed of a rose has a bit of information, a vibrational information that when planted in the proper soil, that particular idea, that particular distinct vibrational idea begins to outpicture itself, begins to manifest, and the invisible then becomes visible as a plant or a tree or a rose. You are a spiritual idea held in the mind of God beyond flesh and blood. You are a perfect idea, vibrational idea, and the soil that you are planted in is the soil of your own consciousness, your own beliefs, perceptions, and what you believe is possible. And so so you are here to participate in your own unfolding, lifting your vibration and frequency through spiritual technology of affirmative prayer, sacred meditation, life visioning, sacred service, holy fellowship, study, so that on a daily basis, the vibrational idea that you are is activated, ultimately becomes the flesh of your flesh and the bone of your bone. That which is invisible becomes visible as your life expression. This is to rise in vibration and frequency, and to rise in vibrational frequency even when things look bleak. It is easy to do it, of course, when things seem to be going well, but I bet you this, that you're praying more than ever now. I bet you this, when circumstances seem a little uncertain, that's when you start to do your spiritual homework. But we want to stretch our muscles so well that even when it is not bleak, there is a discipline that becomes a blissipline, that we leap into the arms of the Spirit of the living God on a regular basis, lifting our vibration, even when there is density that can never prevent our immensity of the power and the presence and the love of God. And then that's the rising. The shining means sharing. Shining means radiating. Shining means giving. So we want to rise and then we want to shine. Now, what does that mean to you today? That means you are gifted. There are gifts within you. There are talents within you. There are ways of being and doing that only you can be about, and no one else can be about it the exact same way that you can be about it, as a distinct, individualized, unique expression of infinite possibility. So you are to discover how you're to contribute and share the gift of divinity that's been stirred into activity through your spiritual technology. So listen, if you begin to walk in the world, even if it's in your living room right now, and you begin to think of yourself as a contributor, how can I contribute? How can I give? How can I radiate? How can I shine? You come on the right side of the law of mind and action that corresponds to the nature of your song. And something opens up within you, and more of this infinitude that's locked and loaded within every cell of your body temple, and even the spaces between those cells, begins to be set free. And you find yourself rising and shining in calamity, rising and shining when there are blue skies, becoming more, nevertheless, than your true self. So today, we want to allow the pressure to increase our measure, which is the topic of the day. We want to allow the pressure to increase the measure of what we are and what we are becoming. Now, there's a lot of pressure on us now, previous to the pandemic or the plandemic, depending on what perspective you're looking at it from. You were under tremendous pressure. You were chasing perhaps false symbols of success. You were under the pressure of running around, doing a whole lot of stuff in your pseudo-freedom and being distracted from issues within yourself that you may not want to look at any particular time. A lot of pressure to keep moving and being involved in so many things that you couldn't look at yourself. A lot of pressure. Now, the pressure is a little bit different. Individuals are quarantined. Individuals' mobility is limited. Individuals can't go and be distracted by a lot of the false notions of success and safety that heretofore was running around in our mind. The pressure now is to stay alive. Individuals want to stay alive. They're afraid of dying, and they don't want bad things to happen to themselves and their family and their body temple. You see, so the pressure is different. And what we want to do is to create a no contraction contract with ourselves. We don't want to contract around the pressure. We want to allow the pressure to increase the measure of who and what we are as a spiritual being. And I just laid out at the beginning of this talk all that you are intrinsically as a spiritual being. Please be reminded that when we use the word spiritual, we're talking about eternal. Spiritual means eternal. Spiritual means all of the sacred qualities and the verities of the Spirit, which are eternal: love, beauty, joy, intelligence, abundance, life itself. Those are eternal qualities. Those are spiritual qualities. So eternal and spiritual are interchangeable. It's not religious. Religion is a structure that allows you to practice so that you become more aware of your spiritual nature, but you don't go around just embracing the structure of your religion. You embrace the structure of religion as a leap-off point into the awareness of your spiritual nature, you see? And so we want to have a contracting. We don't want no contraction contract with ourselves so that we continue to expand. Now, it always begins with your daily and regularly reset that you take for yourself. What do I mean by that? Your affirmative prayer, your sacred meditation. You'll hear some semblance of this on a regular basis, whoever speaks from this particular platform. In other words, the world of phenomena is swirling all the time. Didn't just start with the COVID-19. The world of phenomena is always swirling. It's always uncertain. Changes are always taking place. And who you are as a spiritual being, an eternal being, you must come to have a reset on a regular basis so that you're living your life from the eternal and not living your life as a reaction to the circumstances and situations that are going on in the world. You are not here merely to be a reactionary to circumstances. You are here to be a responder from the eternal presence. Therefore, as individuals begin to do their reset on a regular basis, the triggers that are within them that have them so afraid, and the way by which they seek to maneuver through the world, they begin to discover is often debilitating and often leads to nothing at all. Because the thought forms that are emerging are thought forms that are emerging from a reaction to the seemingly external world of circumstances, situation, people, places, and things. In other words, you become a slave to the world of phenomena and the fear that emerges from that. And so to have this no contraction contract, you have to say to yourself, I am going to reset on a regular basis. Now, what happens when you reset? What happens when you stop? What happens when you stop and you pray? What happens when you stop and you meditate? What happens when you stop and vision? What happens when you stop and put something good in your mind through sacred study? What happens when you stop and have a fellowship with high-minded people, with individuals who are on a course of unfolding their soul's destiny? What happens is you begin to pull from the mind of the infinite the high-powered thought called inspiration, rather than the thought forms that are emerging from the world of phenomena that cloud your mind with fear and doubt and worry and reaction, so that you're living your entire life in fear. There are people doing that right now. They're not living life at all. They're in fear. That's not life. That is not for the sons and daughters of the Most High. You are to live your life and expand the measure of your capacity to reveal more love and compassion and kindness and generosity and creativity and resourcefulness and a regenerative spirit within you. You have to reset on a regular basis so that even in the midst of changes that are going on in the world this particular time, there becomes chemicals that flow through your body temple that are emanating from the sense of bliss and ecstasy of which you are deriving from your contact with the infinite on a regular basis. This is not happy talk. This is spiritual practice that yields the fruitage of an impervious consciousness that is needed at this time in human history. Can you imagine, as the Bible says, the whole world groaneth until now? Can you imagine all these people running around, fear, doubt, and worry, lack, limitation? Oh, I'm scared. Oh, my God, don't touch me. Please stop it. Come to your senses, your spiritual senses. Even if you're in quarantine, reset your mind on a regular basis and do not allow the media to reset it for you. Get the information that you need to have in order to be safe, moment by moment by moment for the body temple. But let God reset your mind through the awareness of your reset. That's clause number one in your no contraction contract. Clause number 2 has something to do with fear. Do you realize that a lot of the fear that you have is not even your fear? It's the fear of the world. It's just the fear that's insidious to the human beings that are afraid of losing their body prematurely or losing their body at all. And then we individualize that collective consciousness of fear. You want to begin to say, when that fear happens, you want to begin to say, this is not mine. This is not mine. This is the world's fear. This is what's being projected out into the world. It's not mine. You can look at how you individualize it. You can even look and analyze the fear that's moving through your mind. And if you look very closely through prayer, through meditation, you begin to see underlying the fear is a lie. Every fear has a lie underneath it. And you can begin to see how you've individualized that particular fear vibe and the lie that you're telling yourself. It happens to be a lie about loss. Has to be a loss of the body, a loss of money, loss of something. And then if you do your work really well, I'm talking about your spiritual homework, you will uncover that lie and realize that in the meta-awareness, you never lose anything. Energy is never lost or gained. Energy transmutes itself all the time. There's never any loss in the universe. As you begin to operate at that level, and this is, again, it's not happy talk, this is practice. You got to practice this, you see, or it just sounds weird. But once you practice and begin to realize that you're full to overflowing with the presence that is never an absence, and you begin to operate from that, then you will do the right thing for your safety. You will do the right thing for your security, but it won't be from, oh my God, I'm afraid, oh, stop it, sons and daughters of the Most High. You are representing a presence and not an absence. You see, your security will be lockstep with your oneness with the presence of God. You'll do all the right things. You put on a mask, you wash your hands. And as I said earlier, you should have been washing your hands all along. If you have not, I'm not going to say shame on you because we're not the shame religion. That belongs to somebody else. We're the awareness way of being. So that you become aware of stuff and then change it, because shame comes from the ego and keeps you perpetuating the very thing that you were ashamed about. So that's a lot in that. That's what I just said right there. You should run that back a few times because it will free you from a lot of stuff, shame and blame and guilt. Those are all emanations from the egoic perception of mind that keeps you small rather than large. So, reset. Look at the fear. Doesn't belong to you. You could even say right now with me, if you have some fear going on, this is not mine. This does not belong to me. This does not belong to a daughter or a son of the Most High. It is a lie, and it creates tributaries of anxiety and anxiousness, which is why it is called the lie and the father of lies, because it creates all manner of tributaries of which individuals then get into compulsive behaviors and anxiety and anxiousness, which keeps individuals rolling, anxiously moving through the world. And believe you me, that's not called life. That's not living. That's not living. You want to live. You want to rise and shine. And then the third aspect of the no contract is you want to ask yourself this. What do I want to give? What do I want to contribute to the new world that's emerging? The old world is dead. We're not going back to normality. What do I want to contribute? Not, how am I going to be saved? You can ask that. But what do I want to contribute? That's what makes you safe. When you're in league with the fundamental harmony of the universe that's always giving of itself, sharing of itself, has no withhold whatsoever, it only knows its own unfolding and is always giving. If you're in league with that, then safety comes with that, you see, because you're in the vibration of the Most High, not in the frequency of doubt. What do I want to contribute to the new world that is emerging? You don't want to just be so-called secure in a world of fear. What do I want to contribute? Now, when you begin to ask yourself that, you'll begin to see a different world that's trying to be birthed at this particular time. It's not going to be described and articulated by politicians. No, please. It can't be. It can't be. That's unless they're awake, unless they're conscious, unless they're spiritually awake, it can't be. It's going to be defined by individuals that have had a spiritual awakening and opening, a conscious touch of the divine, the mystics, the shamans, the artists, the creative beings who have pierced the veil of 3D and who have seen the possibility of humanity living and thriving and sharing and being creative. It begins with, what do I want to contribute to this birthing of a new world? You have to ask that question. Now, here's the deal. You don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to have a high IQ. You don't have to be learned to ask the question. The universe is no respecter of persons. This is what it says scripturally, that God is no respecter of persons. God respects consciousness. And when you open yourself up and say, how can I contribute to the world that's trying to be born at this particular time, you begin to hear that still small voice that will become louder because you are in tune with it. You're interested in it. You become available to the presence that's never in absence. You begin to hear how you are to contribute. The energy will flow. You'll hear it. The energy will flow. And you'll begin to coalesce with individuals that are holding that frequency, even if you're miles apart, creating a dynamic field that will be the rich soil of the birth of a kind and just global society, the birth of the beloved community. Why? Because you're vibrationally it. I want you to catch that. You can't have what you're not willing to become in consciousness. It's an impossibility vibrationally for you to have anything that you're not inside. And so if you are going to ask, if you're going to allow the pressure to increase your measure, you're going to look to the coal, and there's so much pressure that produced a diamond. You're going to look to the oyster that was irritated by the sand and produced a pearl. So you're going to look at the irritations. You're going to look at the pressure around you. You're going to sign the no contraction contract. And you're going to open yourself up in ways of resetting on a regular basis. I'm going to reset right now. I'm coming into the eternal. I'm resetting right now. I'm not reacting to a circumstance. I'm responding from the divine. I'm resetting on a regular basis. Fear that's flowing through doesn't belong to me. I'm just individualizing it and allowing the lie that pertains to me to grab my attention, but I see through it now. Then I'm going to ask myself, how can I contribute? Why? I'm from the Sanskrit, which means human, means dispenser of the divine gifts. You, human, I'm human, dispenser of divine. You're a dispenser of divine gifts. You didn't come here to get anything. You may have got caught in the rat race, but even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat. And so you've come to dispense your gifts and participate in the field of abundance and harmonizing prosperity and health and vitality and vigor and well-being. All of that, because it's intrinsic. It's not something you get. It is something that you let through spiritual practice. Not religious practice. You can do your spiritual practice religiously. But it's resetting on a regular basis. And if you reset on a regular basis, you will become aware of the insidious thoughts and beliefs, the triggers within you. You'll become aware. And through the power of your awareness, they will start to lose control based on your awareness. Those things, those thoughts that sometimes just take you over, then you look back and say, I wish I wouldn't have said that. I wish I wouldn't have done that. You'll catch it before it takes over as you reset on a regular basis. You will analyze, become aware of the underlying fear and doubt and worry. And you'll be reminded that those worries are an emotional rehearsal of everything you do not want to experience that leads to anxiety and anxiousness, compulsive behaviors, and running around, being distracted so you don't feel it. No, you'll feel it and be aware of it, so that you can look at the lie that you're telling yourself and replace it with the truth principle. My life is the life of God. I'm divinely maintained and sustained by the power and the presence of the love of God. All of my needs are met. Everything is working together for my good. You'll replace it with the feeling tone of triumph as a son and daughter and emanation of the Most High God. And if, in fact, you dare to ask, how can I contribute? Now that helps you expand rather than contract. Because when you're in a really small package of contraction, how can I get, how can I get, how can I get? You keep shrinking yourself. But if you ask, how can I contribute? What is mine to contribute? What is mine to contribute? Can you feel that? You expand. What is mine to contribute? This expansion. What is my gift? What is mine to contribute? How can I share? How can I shine? What is mine to contribute? You expand. And now this vast, immense presence. Remember what I said at the top of this? This vast, immense presence gets to fulfill itself as you. Oh, I want you to grab that. God is already fulfilled. There used to be stories. I'm coming to an end. I just have a lot to say sometimes. You remember the old stories? You know, there are myths that mimic truth and things of that particular nature. There used to be like a story that God created everything because God was lonely. We know that's not true now. I mean, it was a good story for kids. You know, where God was so lonely, created all these people, you know, and all that. And please, if you can be alone and not be lonely, then the presence cannot be lonely. The presence created everything out of itself, out of a sense of ecstatic fulfillment. Out of ecstatic fulfillment, burst everything into expression. The cosmos, multi-dimensional universe, a solar system, living biology, that would be you. Out of a sense of fulfillment. We reversed it into a sense of fulfillment. I want. But the presence of God birthed everything out of a sense of fulfillment. When you say, how can I contribute? You open yourself up to feeling that sense of fulfillment. Your energy rises. The abundance. We're not just talking money. Yes, money. Yes, substance. Fulfillment. Peace. Fulfillment. Creativity. Fulfillment. Love. Fulfillment. Beauty. You do not want to live in a world that's bereft of beauty. Beauty is a path to the presence of God. What can you contribute? Are you an artist? You a poet? What can you contribute? What can you contribute to allow the beauty that God is to flow through you? So right now, sign on your heart the no contraction contract. Allow the pressure that we're all going through to increase your measure of God fulfilling itself as your very life and being. You are now duly empowered by the Word of God and the presence that is never in absence. Don't cower. Don't bend over. Don't lower your head. Don't be afraid. You are empowered by the presence that's never in absence. Nothing can beat life. Life always wins. You want to be on the side of it. I'm going to stop. I told you I was going to stop at it, but I just got to say one other thing. This is very important. This is participatory. You have to participate in your own unfolding. You've got to participate in it. So all the spiritual practice I'm talking about, that's how you participate. So you're not waiting for God to come do something. No, God's already done it. It's done. The kingdom is finished. But it must come through you. You got to raise your vibration. Rise and shine, students. Rise and shine, beloveds. Rise and shine. This is your time. Your time. Your time. Let's enter into a prayerful tryst right now. Let's enter right now. Extract your attention from the external world, your perception of the external world. Circumstances, situations, people, places, and things. Extract your attention and bring it inward now. This is a good moment for a great reset together. Thousands of people. Can you imagine right now? Well, you don't have to imagine because this is what's happening to thousands of us right now that are part of this spiritual union, and we're taking our attention away from the world for a moment, the world of effects and circumstances and appearances, and we're going inward. The kingdom of God is within. This is what we've been taught for over 2,000 years, and longer than that by the rishis and gurus and teachers. The kingdom of God is within. So we turn within in this moment. And we enter into this greater awareness with a great degree of thanksgiving and appreciation. With a great degree of wonderful gratitude. You can do this. You can be grateful right now. The mind may have been snagged by an errant thought. But right now you can just come into gratitude with me right now. Just come into gratitude. Put a smile on your face and be grateful for something or anything at all. Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. I'm so appreciative. Oh, my God. How grateful I am. How thankful I am. How appreciative I am to be awake, aware, and alive. I'm so grateful that I exist and there's only one me. Even in multi-parallel universes, I am still a distinct, individualized expression of the Most High. And the Spirit of the living God wants to fulfill itself as my very life and being. I recognize this presence. And I feel so unified with the presence. I feel so one with God. Just as the wave on the ocean feels one with the ocean, I feel one with God. Come with me into this upper room right now. Come upstairs. As Dr. Homer Johnson used to love to say, come on upstairs. And begin to feel the unity with the presence. And know from this unified perspective, the word that's being spoken is not just mere words. It carries the frequency of wholeness and oneness and plenitude and prosperity and abundance and joy and wellness and well-being and health and vitality and vigor and peace of mind, regardless of what's happening in the world of effects and affairs. And I have the privilege and the honor to speak this word for each of us today. I speak the word for us that we may be free in this moment. Not merely being free from something. That's a good beginning, to be free from doubt and worry and fear. Free from lack and limitation. Oh yes, that's great. But I speak the word that our intrinsic nature, our divine freedom to be, freedom to live, Freedom to sing a song of celestial. Freedom to reveal our creative nature. Freedom to expand our awareness of the Most High. Freedom to set everything that's within us loose. That inner splendor within us may be set free. That our life, however long it is, it's not about longevity, it's about quality of living and giving. That our life on the planet is a life in which we set our souls on fire, and the whole world comes and watch us burn. Glow with the presence. Oh, I am privileged to speak this word for us right now. Every organ, every action, every function of the body temple is made every whit whole. The mental body is clear. The emotional body is pure. The body of our affairs reflect and reveal the order of the universe, and anything that would hinder this is now disintegrated and dissolved back into the native nothingness from which it has come, never to exist again, that we may stand with a great assuredness that life, the presence of God is for us. Therefore, there can be really nothing against us except for the enemies within our own households, our fears, our doubts, our beliefs, our superstitions. We set them free now. Oh! Woo! Oh! Is well. Oh, just say that with you. Right there where you are, just say, all is well. Just think that. I know the mind sometimes may have been hypnotized, but just think all is well. Just think all is well. 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 Feel into that.
Doing a reset. If the path is clear and there's nothing to fear, all I must do is walk. If the way is straight and I've a key to the gate, all I must do is walk. If I have all I need to sustain and feed me, I'm carried each step of the way. Oh yes, then there's no need to wait, to wonder or talk. All I have to do is walk. Everything is laid out for me. All I must do is walk. Oh, if his arms are around me, catching my fall, all I need do is lean. Yes, since she's shining her light through my soul so bright, I can know what my life really means. It's a moment of glory, so sweet and divine, heavenly secrets unlocked. In strength I stand, in the presence hand, and all I must do is walk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Walk, walk. Walk, walk. Walk, walk. That outer eye closed, the inner eye open. Two eyes closed, one eye open. Just tap it. Just tap right between your eyebrows, giving yourself permission to begin to see with consciousness.